Tyler was 16 when everything changed. It was a Tuesday afternoon and he had just gotten home from basketball practice. His sneakers were muddy, his shirt was soaked with sweat, and all he wanted was a cold drink and maybe a sandwich before starting his homework. But when he walked through the door, something felt wrong. The apartment was too quiet. His mom was sitting at the kitchen table with her head in her hands. His little brother, who was 12, sat next to her with red eyes. His youngest sister, only 9 years old, was crying softly in the corner. Tyler dropped his backpack right there in the doorway. His dad had collapsed at work that morning. A stroke. The doctors said he was lucky to be alive, but lucky didn't feel like the right word when Tyler visited the hospital that evening. His dad couldn't move his right side properly. He couldn't speak clearly. He just looked at Tyler with eyes that seemed to apologize for something that wasn't his fault. The next few weeks were a blur of hospital visits, doctor appointments, and whispered conversations that stopped whenever Tyler walked into a room. His mom tried to hide how scared she was, but Tyler could see it. He saw it in the way she stared at bills without opening them. He saw it in how she started buying the cheapest brand of everything at the grocery store. He saw it in how she smiled at them during dinner but barely ate anything herself. His dad came home after 2 weeks, but he wasn't the same person who left. He needed help with almost everything. Getting dressed, eating, even going to the bathroom. Tyler's mom had to cut her hours at work to take care of him, which meant less money coming in right when they needed more. The medical bills started arriving, big ones. The kind with numbers that made Tyler's stomach hurt just looking at them. Tyler tried to help around the house more. He cooked dinner when his mom was too tired. He helped his brother with math homework. He played games with his sister to keep her from asking why Dad couldn't play with her anymore. But he knew it wasn't enough. Money was the real problem, and there was nothing a 16-year-old kid could do about that. Or so he thought. One night, Tyler couldn't sleep. It was past midnight, and he got up to get some water. When he passed the kitchen, he saw his mom sitting at the table in the dark. She was crying quietly, the way people cry when they don't want anyone to hear. There were bills spread out in front of her, and she was using a calculator, adding up numbers over and over like maybe they'd be different the next time. Tyler stood there in the hallway, frozen. He'd never seen his mom cry like that before. She was the strong one. She was the one who always said everything would be okay. But right then, in the dim light from the street lamp outside, she looked small and scared and completely lost. He went back to his room without getting the water. He lay in bed staring at the ceiling, listening to the sound of his dad's labored breathing through the thin walls. Something had to change. He had to do something. The next day at school, Tyler couldn't focus on anything. During lunch, while his friends talked about some video game or whatever, he was thinking about money. How much did his family need? How much could he make? He was 16. He could get a job. Lots of kids his age worked at fast food places or retail stores after school, but after school wouldn't work. His mom needed him home to help with his siblings while she took care of his dad. The only time he wasn't needed at home was at night after everyone went to bed. That's when the idea hit him. Night shifts. There had to be places that needed workers at night. That afternoon, instead of going straight home, Tyler went to every store within walking distance. A grocery store, a warehouse club, a gas station, a pharmacy. He asked if they had any overnight positions. Most places said no or said he was too young. But then he walked into a big supermarket near the edge of town. The manager was a tired-looking guy named Rick, who was dealing with a spilled jar of pickles in aisle 7. When Tyler asked about overnight work, Rick looked him up and down. "How old are you?" 16. "You got working papers?" "I can get them." Rick wiped his hands on his apron. "We need overnight stockers. 11 at night until 7 in the morning. It's hard work. Heavy lifting. And the pay isn't great." "How much?" $12 an hour. Tyler did the quick math in his head. If he worked 5 nights a week, that was 40 hours. Almost $500 a week. $2,000 a month. That could help pay for his dad's medications. "That could keep the lights on, I'll take it," Tyler said. Rick raised an eyebrow. "Don't you have school?" "I'll manage, that's how it started." Tyler filled out the paperwork, got his working papers from the school office by lying and saying he needed an after-school job, and started the following Monday. He told his mom he got a part-time job at the supermarket. She was so relieved that someone was bringing in extra money that she didn't ask too many questions. He told her it was just a few hours after school, nothing crazy. He didn't tell her the truth. He didn't tell her he'd be working all night, every night. He didn't tell her he'd be giving up sleep, giving up time with friends, giving up being a normal teenager. She would have said no. She would have felt guilty. She would have tried to stop him, but Tyler had made up his mind. He had seen his mom crying in the dark. He had seen his dad struggling to remember how to hold a fork. He had seen his little brother pretending everything was fine when it wasn't. He had seen his sister drawing pictures of their family that always showed their dad standing up, walking, smiling. Someone had to help. And if that someone had to be him, then that's what he'd do. The first night of work came fast. Tyler went through his normal routine. He came home from school, helped his siblings with homework, ate dinner with his family. His dad managed to eat some mashed potatoes with his left hand and everyone clapped. It was the kind of small victory that had become normal in their house. At 9 o'clock, Tyler said he was tired and went to his room. He set his alarm for 10:30, which gave him an hour and a half of sleep. When the alarm buzzed, he woke up groggy and disoriented. For a second, he forgot why his alarm was going off. Then he remembered. Work. He had to get to work. He dressed quietly in the dark, pulled on his jacket, and crept through the apartment like a burglar. His mom's door was closed. His siblings were asleep. His dad was snoring softly. Nobody knew he was leaving. The night air was cold and the streets were emptier than he'd ever seen them. The bus came 10 minutes late and Tyler was the only passenger. The driver didn't even look at him. At the supermarket, Rick was waiting by the loading dock. "You actually showed up," Rick said, sounding surprised. "I said I would." "Yeah, well, lots of people say things. Come on, I'll show you what to do." And just like that, Tyler's new life began. A life where he'd spend his days as a high school student and his nights as a grocery store stocker. A life where sleep became a luxury he couldn't afford. A life that would test him in ways he never imagined. But that first night, as he unloaded boxes of cereal and stacked cans of soup, Tyler felt something he hadn't felt in weeks. He felt useful. He felt like maybe, just maybe, he could help his family survive this. And for now, that was enough. The first week nearly broke him. Tyler thought he understood what tired meant before he started working nights, but he'd been wrong. Real exhaustion was different. It was bone deep. It was the kind of tired that made his eyes burn even when they were closed. The kind that made his body feel like it was made of concrete. His alarm would go off at 6:30 in the morning, right when his shift at the supermarket ended. He'd stumble onto the bus, ride it back to his neighborhood, and walk through his apartment door just as his family was waking up. His mom would already be helping his dad get dressed. His brother would be eating cereal in front of the TV. His sister would be looking for her school shoes. Tyler would take a quick shower, change into clean clothes, and pretend he'd just woken up from a full night of sleep. Then he'd grab his backpack and catch the school bus. By the time he sat down in his first class, he'd already been awake for more than 8 hours. At first, he tried to stay alert. He'd sit in the front row, take notes, participate in discussions. But by the second week, staying awake became a battle he was losing. His hand would go slack during lectures and his pen would roll off his desk. His head would start to nod forward and he'd jerk awake, hoping nobody noticed. His friends started to notice something was off. During lunch, they'd talk about weekend plans or some drama that happened at someone's party, and Tyler would just sit there, barely listening. He wasn't trying to be rude. He just didn't have the energy to care about normal teenage stuff anymore. "Dude, are you okay?" his best friend Carlos asked one day. "You look like garbage," Tyler forced a smile. "Just not sleeping great. My dad's still recovering, you know. It's loud at home." It wasn't exactly a lie, but it wasn't the truth either. Carlos seemed to buy it though, and that was good enough. The worst part was his grades. Tyler had always been a solid student. Not the top of his class, but good enough. B's mostly, some A's in classes he liked. But now his test scores were dropping. He'd study for something, think he understood it, and then completely blank during the actual test. His brain felt foggy all the time, like he was trying to think through a thick cloud. His English teacher, Mrs. Rodriguez, asked him to stay after class one day in October. She was a nice lady, the type who actually seemed to care whether students learned anything. She had gray hair that she kept in a tight bun and glasses that hung on a chain around her neck. "Tyler, I'm concerned about you," she said once the other students had left. "Your essay on The Great Gatsby was incomplete. You only wrote 2 pages when the assignment required 5, and your last 3 quizzes have all been C's or lower. That's not like you." Tyler shifted his weight from one foot to the other. His eyes felt like someone had poured sand in them. "I know, Mrs. Rodriguez. I'm sorry. I've just been dealing with some stuff at home." "I heard about your father," she said gently. "I can't imagine how difficult that must be. If you need extra time on assignments or if you need to talk to the guidance counselor about what you're going through, we can arrange that." The kindness in her voice almost made Tyler crack. He wanted to tell her everything. He wanted to explain that he wasn't sleeping, that he was working 40 hours a week on top of school, that he was running on nothing but energy drinks and desperation. But he couldn't. If she knew, she'd tell his mom. Or worse, she'd tell someone who could make him stop working. And his family needed that money? "I'll do better," Tyler said. "I promise. I'll rewrite the essay and turn it in next week." Mrs. Rodriguez studied his face for a long moment. Tyler could tell she didn't fully believe him, but eventually she nodded. "All right. But please, if things get too overwhelming, come talk to me. That's what I'm here for." Tyler managed to make it to Thanksgiving break without completely falling apart. The week off from school felt like a gift from heaven. He could work his night shifts and then actually sleep during the day. His body seemed to drink up those extra hours of rest like a person dying of thirst. But the break also made him realize how much he'd been missing. On Thanksgiving Day, his whole family was home together. His mom made turkey and stuffing. His dad managed to sit at the table with them, even though he needed help cutting his food. His siblings were laughing about something that happened on some YouTube video they watched. Tyler sat there, eating his mashed potatoes, and felt like he was watching his family through a window. He was there, but he wasn't really there. His mind was already thinking about his shift that night, about how many hours of sleep he could squeeze in before he had to leave. "Are you feeling okay, sweetheart?" his mom asked, reaching over to feel his forehead. "You look pale." "I'm fine, Mom. Just tired." "You're working too hard at that store," she said with a frown. "Maybe you should cut back your hours. School is more important." If only she knew. "It's not that bad. I like having my own money." That was another lie to add to the growing list. Tyler didn't have his own money. Every single paycheck went straight to his mom. He told her it was to help with groceries and bills, and she'd cried when he first gave her the money. She tried to refuse it, saying he should save for college or use it to hang out with friends. But Tyler insisted. He saw the relief in her eyes when she finally accepted it. What his mom didn't know was exactly how much money he was making. Tyler had been lying about his hours since day one. He told her he worked 10 to 15 hours a week. In reality, he was working 40. He'd give her $300 every 2 weeks and told her that was his whole paycheck after taxes. The truth was, his paychecks were closer to $800. He was keeping the rest in an envelope hidden in his closet, saving it for when things got really bad. As winter set in, Tyler developed a system. He learned which bathroom stalls at school were least likely to be occupied during lunch period, and he'd lock himself in one and take a 20-minute nap standing up. He discovered that if he sat in the back of his history class, he could rest his head on his arms and look like he was reading the textbook when he was actually sleeping. He started drinking coffee, even though he hated the taste, because it was cheaper than energy drinks. His work at the supermarket became almost automatic. He could unload trucks and stock shelves in his sleep now. His body knew what to do even when his brain was barely functioning. Rick, the manager, seemed impressed with him. Tyler was always on time, never called in sick, and worked faster than most of the other overnight stockers, who were mostly older guys just trying to pay their rent. "You're a good worker, kid," Rick told him one night in January. "Most people your age are too lazy to do real work. Where'd you learn to work this hard?" Tyler was organizing boxes of pasta on a shelf. His hands moved automatically, muscle memory taking over. "My dad taught me, before he got sick." Rick was quiet for a moment. "Yeah, life's tough sometimes, but you're doing good. Your parents should be proud." Tyler didn't say anything. Pride wasn't what he was after. He just needed his family to survive. But the exhaustion was catching up with him in ways he couldn't hide anymore. He started nodding off in class so often that teachers stopped calling on him. His grades slipped from C's to D's. He stopped turning in homework because he didn't have time to do it. The walk from the bus stop to his apartment felt longer every day, like his legs were moving through quicksand. One morning in February, something happened that scared him. He was in his math class, and the teacher was explaining something about quadratic equations. Tyler's eyes were closed, his head resting on his desk. He wasn't just tired. He was beyond tired. He was gone. The bell rang. Students packed up their bags and left. The next class came in, sat down. The teacher started a new lesson, and Tyler kept sleeping. He didn't wake up until he felt someone shaking his shoulder. Hard. When he opened his eyes, his math teacher was standing over him with a concerned look on his face. "Tyler, are you all right? You've been asleep for over an hour. You missed my entire next class." Tyler sat up, confused. His mouth was dry. His neck hurt from the weird angle he'd been sleeping in. "What? What time is it?" "It's almost 11. When's the last time you got a full night's sleep?" Tyler grabbed his backpack and stood up too fast. The room spun. "I'm fine. I just didn't sleep well last night. I'm sorry." But he wasn't fine. As he stumbled out of the classroom, Tyler knew something had to give. He couldn't keep doing this. Not like this. He was drowning, and nobody even knew he was underwater. Tyler made it to March. Barely. He'd been working nights and going to school for 5 months straight, and it showed. His jeans hung loose on his hips because he'd lost weight. He had dark circles under his eyes that wouldn't go away no matter how much sleep he got. His hands shook sometimes from drinking too much coffee. He looked like someone who was sick, and in a way he was. He was sick with exhaustion. But he couldn't stop. The money he was making was keeping his family afloat. His mom had been able to catch up on the electric bill. His dad's medications were getting paid for. His little brother had new shoes that actually fit. His sister was able to stay in her after-school art program. Every time Tyler thought about quitting, he'd think about these things and push forward. The cracks started showing in ways he couldn't control. He'd forget conversations he'd had with people. His friends would reference something he'd said the day before, and he'd have no memory of it. He'd walk into a room and forget why he was there. Simple tasks took twice as long because his brain was moving through mud. His teachers had mostly given up on him. They'd see him sleeping in class and just let it happen. Some of them looked at him with pity, which made Tyler feel worse than their disappointment. He was failing 3 classes. He'd probably have to repeat his junior year. But he told himself he could fix it later, once his dad got better, once things stabilized at home. The breaking point came on a Wednesday in March. Tyler's calculus teacher, Mr. Chen, was reviewing for an upcoming test. Tyler tried to pay attention. He really did. He'd written "Stay awake" at the top of his notebook in big letters. But the classroom was warm, and Mr. Chen's voice was steady and monotone, and Tyler's eyes kept drifting closed. He'd snap them open, force himself to focus on the board, and then feel them closing again. It was like trying to hold back an ocean with his bare hands. Eventually, the ocean won. Tyler's head dropped onto his desk, and he was gone. He wasn't just napping. He was out cold, the kind of deep sleep that comes from months of running on empty. He didn't hear the bell ring, didn't hear students packing up, didn't hear the classroom empty out. Mr. Chen stood at the front of the room, watching Tyler sleep. He'd seen students doze off before, but this was different. This looked like someone who hadn't slept in days. After a minute, Mr. Chen walked over and gently shook Tyler's shoulder. Nothing. Tyler didn't even stir. Mr. Chen shook harder. "Tyler, Tyler? Wake up." Still nothing. Mr. Chen was starting to get worried. He shook Tyler harder, and finally Tyler's eyes opened. But they weren't focused. He looked around the room like he didn't know where he was. "What's happening?" Tyler mumbled. His words were slurred. "You fell asleep in class. Are you feeling all right? Should I call the nurse?" Tyler tried to stand up, but his legs wobbled. He grabbed the desk for support. "I'm fine. What time is it?" "It's 10:45. You missed the entire class period and most of the passing period." "Tyler, when's the last time you got a good night's sleep?" "I sleep fine," Tyler said automatically. It was the lie he'd been telling everyone for months. But Mr. Chen wasn't buying it. "I'm taking you to the guidance counselor. Something's wrong." "No, really, I'm okay. I just need to go to my next class." "Tyler, you couldn't wake up when I shook you. That's not normal." "Come on." Tyler wanted to argue, but he didn't have the energy. His legs felt like rubber as Mr. Chen guided him down the hallway to the counseling office. Other students stared at them as they passed. Tyler kept his eyes on the floor. The guidance counselor, Mrs. Palmer, was a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a calm voice. Her office smelled like vanilla candles and had plants on every surface. She took one look at Tyler and told him to sit down. "Mr. Chen says you've been having trouble staying awake in class," she said gently. Tyler nodded. There was no point denying it anymore. "Can you tell me what's going on? Are you having trouble sleeping at home?" And that's when Tyler realized he was done lying. He was so tired. Not just physically tired, but tired of pretending everything was fine. Tired of carrying this weight by himself. Tired of acting like a normal teenager when his life was anything but normal. So he told her everything. The words came spilling out like water from a broken dam. He told her about his dad's stroke, about his mom cutting her work hours, about the medical bills, about getting the overnight job at the supermarket, about working from 11 at night until 7 in the morning, 5 days a week, about going straight from work to school with no sleep in between. Mrs. Palmer's eyes widened as he talked. Then they filled with tears. She didn't interrupt him. She just listened, occasionally handing him tissues even though Tyler wasn't the one crying. When he finished, there was silence in the office. Tyler felt empty, like he'd poured out everything inside him and there was nothing left. "Tyler," Mrs. Palmer finally said, "how long have you been doing this?" "Since October. 5 months. 5 months of working 40 hours a week on top of school. With how much sleep? Maybe 3 or 4 hours a day. Sometimes less." Mrs. Palmer leaned back in her chair and pressed her hands to her face. "Oh, sweetie. Why didn't you tell anyone? Why didn't you ask for help?" "Because we need the money," Tyler said simply. "My family needs the money. If I don't work, we can't pay for my dad's medications. We can't keep the lights on. I'm the only one who can help." "You're 16 years old. This isn't your responsibility." "Then whose responsibility is it?" Tyler's voice cracked. "My dad can't work. My mom is barely keeping it together. My brother and sister are just kids. So yeah, it is my responsibility. Because if I don't do it, nobody else will." Mrs. Palmer reached across her desk and took Tyler's hand. "What you've been doing is incredibly brave, but it's not sustainable. You're hurting yourself. Your body needs sleep. Your mind needs rest. If you keep going like this, you're going to get seriously ill or worse. I don't have a choice. There are always choices. And there are people who can help. Let me make some calls, okay? Don't leave this office. I'll be right back." Tyler sat there alone for a few minutes staring at the plants on the windowsill. He felt like he should be more worried about what Mrs. Palmer was doing, but mostly he just felt relieved. The secret was out. For better or worse, someone else knew now. He didn't have to carry it alone anymore. When Mrs. Palmer came back, she had the principal with her. Principal Harrison was a tall man with gray hair and a serious face that made most students nervous. He pulled up a chair and sat down across from Tyler. "Mr. Chen told me what's been going on," Principal Harrison said. "First, I want you to know that you're not in trouble. What you've been doing, trying to support your family, that takes courage. But Mrs. Palmer is right. We need to find a better solution." "There isn't a better solution," Tyler said quietly. "Trust me, I've thought about it." "Let us try," Principal Harrison said. "I've already called your mother. She's on her way to the school right now." Tyler's stomach dropped. "You called my mom? Why?" "Because she needs to know what you've been doing. She needs to know that her son has been sacrificing his health and education to help the family. She's going to make me quit my job. Probably, but we'll figure something else out. Give us a chance, Tyler. Let people help you." 20 minutes later, Tyler's mom rushed into the counseling office. Her face was panicked. "What's wrong?" "Is Tyler hurt?" The school called and said it was urgent. Tyler couldn't look at her. He stared at his hands while Mrs. Palmer explained everything. He heard his mom's breathing get faster as she realized what he'd been doing. He heard her make a small sound, like someone had punched her in the stomach. When Mrs. Palmer finished, the office was silent. Tyler finally looked up at his mom. She was crying, tears running down her face. She crossed the room in 2 steps and pulled him into a hug so tight he could barely breathe. "Why didn't you tell me?" she whispered. "Oh, baby, why didn't you tell me?" "Because you would have made me stop. And we need the money." His mom pulled back, holding his face in her hands. "We don't need money that badly. Not if it means destroying you. You're my son. You're supposed to be going to school and hanging out with friends and being a kid, not working yourself to death. But Dad's medications, we'll figure it out. I'll take extra shifts. I'll get a second job. We'll apply for more assistance. There are food banks and charity programs. We have options, Tyler. Options that don't involve you killing yourself." Tyler shook his head. "It's not enough. You know it's not enough." "Then we'll make it enough," Principal Harrison said. "Your mother won't have to do this alone. The school has resources. I'm going to make some calls to local organizations. There are programs specifically designed to help families in situations like yours. Medical bill assistance, food programs, utility help. We're going to get your family connected with every resource available." Tyler wanted to believe him, but he'd been holding his family together for so long that letting go felt impossible. "What if it doesn't work?" "Then we'll try something else," Mrs. Palmer said. "But you can't keep doing what you've been doing. You were unconscious in class for over an hour today, Tyler. Your body is shutting down. If you don't stop now, you're going to end up in the hospital. Is that what you want?" It wasn't what he wanted. He knew that. But he also didn't know how to stop. This job, this money, it was the only thing making him feel useful. Without it, what was he? His mom seemed to read his mind. "You're still helping by being my son, by going to school and taking care of yourself. That's what I need from you. Not money. Not sacrifices. Just you, healthy and whole."
"Can you do that for me?"
Tyler looked at his mom's face, at the love and fear mixed together in her expression. He looked at Mrs. Palmer and Principal Harrison, both waiting for his answer. "Okay," he said finally. His voice was barely a whisper. "Okay." The next 48 hours felt like a whirlwind. Tyler's mom called his manager at the supermarket and explained the situation. Rick was surprisingly understanding. He said Tyler could come back if he ever needed a job in the future, but right now he needed to focus on being a kid. Tyler cleaned out his locker at work, said goodbye to the other overnight stalkers, and walked out of that store feeling lighter and more terrified than he had in months. Principal Harrison wasn't kidding about making calls. By Friday afternoon, he'd connected Tyler's family with 3 different community organizations. One specialized in helping families with medical debt. Another provided free groceries once a week. A third offered utility bill assistance. Tyler's mom spent hours on the phone, filling out applications and gathering documents. But the school did something else too, something Tyler didn't know about until later. Principal Harrison sent an email to all the staff explaining Tyler's situation in general terms, without using his name. He talked about a student who'd been working overnight shifts to support his family, who'd been failing classes not because he didn't care, but because he was sacrificing everything to help his parents. The response was immediate. Teachers started reaching out to Principal Harrison asking how they could help. By Monday morning, there was a plan in place. Mr. Chen, the calculus teacher, was the first to approach Tyler. It was before school started, and Tyler was at his locker, still feeling strange about being there without having worked all night. He actually felt rested for the first time in months. "Tyler, got a minute?" Mr. Chen asked. Tyler tensed. He figured he was about to get lectured about all the work he'd missed. "Yeah, sure. I heard about what you've been going through," Mr. Chen said. "And I want you to know that I'm here to help. I'm going to record all my lectures from now on and send you the audio files. You can listen to them whenever works for you, at whatever speed you want. I'll also give you extended time on all assignments and tests. We're going to get you caught up." Tyler didn't know what to say. "You don't have to do that." "I know I don't have to. I want to." "You've been working harder than any student should have to. Now let us work hard for you." It wasn't just Mr. Chen. Over the next week, every single one of Tyler's teachers reached out with similar offers. Mrs. Rodriguez said she'd work with him one-on-one during her free period to help him catch up on English assignments. His history teacher created a modified study guide that covered the most important material he'd missed. His science teacher arranged for him to do makeup labs after school. Even more surprising was what happened during lunch on Wednesday. Tyler was sitting alone eating the sandwich his mom had packed when Carlos and a few other friends came over to his table. "Dude, we heard what happened," Carlos said. "Why didn't you tell us you were working nights?" Tyler shrugged. "Didn't want anyone to worry." "That's stupid," Carlos said, but his voice was gentle. "We're your friends. We could have helped somehow. Brought you coffee, shared notes, I don't know. Something. It's fine. It's over now anyway." "Yeah, well, it's not fine. You look like you've been hit by a truck. So here's what's going to happen. We're going to help you catch up on schoolwork. I'm pretty good at history. Jake here is a science genius. And Riley aced calculus last year. We're your study group now, whether you like it or not." Tyler felt his throat get tight. "You guys don't need to do that. Too bad. It's happening. Tomorrow after school library, bring your books. We're starting with whatever class you're failing hardest." But the help didn't just come from school. Principal Harrison had reached out to some local businesses, and word had spread about Tyler's situation. A woman named Patricia, who owned a small accounting firm, contacted the school. She'd heard about Tyler's dad and had an idea. Patricia came to visit Tyler's family one evening. She was in her 60s, wore bright red glasses, and had a no-nonsense way of talking that Tyler appreciated. She explained that her company needed someone to do basic data entry work, stuff that could be done from home on a computer. "Your father's stroke affected his right side, correct?" Patricia asked Tyler's dad. He nodded. His speech was better than it had been months ago, though still slow. "Right side doesn't work good. Can you use your left hand?" "Yeah, left hand works fine." "Then you can do this job. It's simple work. Entering numbers into spreadsheets, organizing files, that sort of thing. You'd work from home, go at your own pace. 20 hours a week, $15 an hour. Is that something you'd be interested in?" Tyler watched his dad's face change. For the first time since the stroke, he saw something other than frustration or sadness. He saw hope. "I can work again?" his dad asked quietly. "Absolutely. I'll provide all the training you need. We'll start slow, see how it goes. What do you think?" Tyler's dad looked at his wife, then at his kids. "I think yes. I want to work." Tyler felt something break loose in his chest. His dad was going to work again. Not the same kind of work as before, but work. It meant his dad would have purpose. It meant he wouldn't feel useless anymore. It meant income was coming in again. The community support kept coming in ways Tyler never expected. The local community center reached out and offered free after-school care for his brother and sister. A neighbor who was a retired physical therapist volunteered to work with his dad twice a week to help improve his mobility. The church down the street, even though Tyler's family didn't attend, dropped off a box of groceries every week. Mrs. Palmer called Tyler into her office one Friday afternoon. There was a woman with her that Tyler had never seen before. She was young, maybe in her 30s, with kind eyes and a warm smile. "Tyler, this is Jennifer. She's a social worker who specializes in helping families navigate difficult situations. She's going to work with your family to make sure you're connected with all available resources." Jennifer shook Tyler's hand. "I've been going over your family's situation with Mrs. Palmer. There are several programs you might qualify for that you haven't accessed yet. Medical debt forgiveness, for one. I think we can get a significant portion of your dad's hospital bills reduced or eliminated. There's also a state program that provides monthly stipends to families caring for disabled members." "My dad's not disabled," Tyler said quickly. "He has documented medical issues that limit his ability to work and care for himself," Jennifer said gently. "That qualifies under the program's definition. I know the word disabled can feel heavy, but accepting help isn't weakness. It's wisdom." Over the next few weeks, Jennifer became a regular presence in Tyler's life. She was like a guide through a maze of paperwork and phone calls and applications. She helped Tyler's mom apply for programs they didn't even know existed. Slowly, the crushing weight of financial pressure started to ease. But the most surprising help came from within the school itself. Tyler found out later that several teachers had quietly started a fund. They'd each contributed money, not much, just $20 or $30 each. But with 30 teachers participating, it added up. They gave the money to Tyler's family anonymously. Just a card that said, "From your school family," with $600 inside. Tyler's mom cried when she opened that card. Tyler's dad, who rarely showed emotion anymore, cried too. Tyler sat at the kitchen table watching his parents cry together and felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. He felt like maybe everything was going to be okay. His grades started improving. Not overnight, but steadily. With his friends helping him study and his teachers giving him extra support, Tyler began catching up on months of missed work. He went from failing 3 classes to passing all of them by the end of April. His test scores improved. He started turning in homework again. More importantly, he started sleeping. Real sleep 7 or 8 hours a night. His body slowly recovered from months of abuse. The dark circles under his eyes faded. His hands stopped shaking. He gained back the weight he'd lost. He started looking like a normal 16-year-old again instead of someone 20 years older. His social life came back too. He started hanging out with Carlos and his friends again on weekends. They'd play basketball or go to movies or just sit around playing video games. Normal teenage stuff. The stuff Tyler had forgotten he was missing. One Saturday in May, Tyler and his dad were sitting on the couch together. His dad was doing his data entry work on a laptop, slowly but steadily typing with his left hand. Tyler was reading a book for English class. It was quiet and peaceful. "Tyler," his dad said suddenly. "Yeah, Dad?" His dad stopped typing and looked at him. The words came slow but clear. "I'm proud of you. What you did for our family. I'm proud." Tyler felt his eyes get wet. "You don't have to be proud of that. I should have asked for help sooner. No, you did what you thought you had to do. You took care of us when I couldn't. That's what a man does. But now you let others help. That's also what a man does. You're growing up good." Tyler leaned his head against his dad's shoulder, something he hadn't done since he was a little kid. His dad put his good arm around him. They sat like that for a long time, not saying anything, just being together. The whole experience changed something in Tyler. He realized that accepting help wasn't weakness. That community wasn't just about what you could do for others, but also about letting others do for you. That sometimes being strong meant admitting you couldn't do everything alone. As June approached and the school year neared its end, Tyler had one more challenge ahead of him. He needed to pass his final exams to move on to senior year. After everything he'd been through, graduation was still a year away. But now, for the first time in months, he actually believed he'd make it. June came fast. Tyler spent the last few weeks of school buried in study guides and practice tests. His friends kept their promise, meeting him at the library almost every day after school. Carlos would quiz him on history dates. Riley would walk him through calculus problems step by step. Jake would help him memorize science formulas. They made it fun somehow, turning studying into a competition or cracking jokes when Tyler got frustrated. His teachers gave him every possible advantage: extended time on tests, quiet rooms where he could focus without distractions, the option to redo assignments if he wasn't happy with his grades. They were rooting for him, and Tyler could feel it. Every time he walked into a classroom, teachers would give him encouraging nods or thumbs up. It was like the whole school had decided he was going to succeed, whether he believed it or not. Final exams were brutal. Tyler's brain still wasn't working at full capacity after months of sleep deprivation, and there were gaps in his knowledge that no amount of cramming could completely fill. But he showed up for every test and he tried his hardest. That's all he could do. The night before his last exam, Tyler couldn't sleep. Not because of anxiety exactly. More like his body had forgotten how to relax before important moments. He lay in bed staring at the ceiling, thinking about everything that had happened since October. It felt like a lifetime ago. He felt like a different person now. Around midnight, his dad appeared in his doorway. He was moving better now after months of physical therapy. Still slow, still careful, but better. "Can't sleep?" his dad asked. "Just thinking." His dad came and sat on the edge of Tyler's bed. "About what?" "About how different everything is now." "How different I am." His dad nodded slowly. "You grew up fast. Maybe too fast, but you're still here. Still fighting. That counts for something. Do you think I'll pass tomorrow? Doesn't matter what I think. Matters what you do. And I know you'll do your best. That's all anyone can ask." Tyler did pass his last exam. When he saw his final grades posted online at the end of June, he felt relief wash over him like a wave. English C+, History B, Science C, Calculus C+. Not perfect, but passing. He was officially going to be a senior. The school year ended with a small award ceremony in the gym. Tyler wasn't expecting anything. He'd just come to support his friends who were getting honor roll certificates. But then Principal Harrison did something Tyler wasn't prepared for. "Before we dismiss today," Principal Harrison said, standing at the podium, "I want to recognize someone special. This student showed extraordinary courage this year. When his family faced impossible circumstances, he stepped up in ways that most adults couldn't handle. He worked overnight shifts while attending school full-time. He sacrificed his sleep, his grades, his social life, all to help his family survive. And when we finally learned what he was going through, he let us help him. That takes a different kind of courage. Tyler, could you come up here, please? Tyler's heart dropped into his stomach. Everyone was looking at him. Carlos pushed him out of his seat and toward the front of the gym. Tyler's legs felt like rubber as he walked to the podium. He could see his mom in the audience crying already. His dad was there too, sitting in his wheelchair, face full of pride. His brother and sister were bouncing in their seats, excited to see their big brother on stage. Principal Harrison put a hand on Tyler's shoulder. This young man represents everything good about our school community. He showed us what it means to be resilient, to be selfless, to be courageous, and our community showed him what it means to support each other. Tyler, we have something for you. Mrs. Palmer came forward with a framed certificate. It wasn't a standard award. It was custom-made, printed on nice paper with the school's seal. It read, "Presented to Tyler for outstanding courage and perseverance, in recognition of extraordinary sacrifice and the strength to ask for help." Below that, there were signatures. Dozens of them. Every teacher Tyler had, the counselors, the principal, even the cafeteria staff and janitors, all these people had signed their names. Tyler took the certificate with shaking hands. The gymnasium erupted in applause. But then something happened that Tyler didn't expect. The teachers stood up, then the students, then everyone. The whole gym was on its feet clapping for him. Some people were crying. Tyler saw Mr. Chen wiping his eyes. Mrs. Rodriguez was openly sobbing. Principal Harrison leaned toward the microphone again. "Tyler, would you like to say anything?" Tyler didn't want to say anything. He wanted to run off the stage and hide. But everyone was looking at him with such kindness, such support, that he felt like he owed them something. He stepped up to the microphone. His voice cracked when he spoke. I don't really know what to say. I just did what I thought I had to do. But I learned something this year. I learned that you can't do everything alone. I tried to, and I almost destroyed myself. What saved me wasn't being strong enough to handle everything. It was being brave enough to let people help. So thank you. To all my teachers who gave me second chances. To my friends who studied with me. To Principal Harrison and Mrs. Palmer for connecting my family with resources. To everyone who supported us. You changed my life. You changed my family's life. I'll never forget that. The applause got louder. Tyler hurried off the stage before he started crying. He made it back to his seat and Carlos immediately wrapped him in a hug. "Dude, you're a legend," Carlos said. "That was awesome." The ceremony ended and people kept coming up to Tyler. Teachers he'd never even had classes with congratulated him. Parents he didn't know told him he was an inspiration. Younger students asked for selfies. It was overwhelming and embarrassing and kind of amazing all at once. That night, Tyler's family had a celebration dinner at home. Nothing fancy, just pizza and soda, but it felt special. His dad managed to eat a slice on his own, using his left hand. His mom kept looking at the framed certificate hanging on the wall and tearing up. His brother and sister were excited because they got to stay up late. "I'm proud of all of you," Tyler's mom said. "We went through something really hard this year. But we made it. We're still together, still fighting, still here. That's what matters." Summer passed peacefully. Tyler got a normal job, working at an ice cream shop a few hours a week. Nothing crazy, just enough to have some spending money and feel productive. He hung out with friends. He slept in late. He helped around the house. He watched his dad get stronger every week. His dad's data entry job was going well. Patricia, the woman who'd hired him, said he was one of her best workers. She'd increased his hours and his pay. Combined with his mom's income and the various assistance programs they were enrolled in, the family was finally stable. Not rich, but stable. They could pay their bills. They could buy groceries. They could breathe. Tyler spent a lot of time that summer thinking about his future. He'd always assumed he'd go to college, but he'd never thought seriously about what he wanted to do. Now he knew. He wanted to help people. He'd seen firsthand what a difference the right support could make. He started researching social work programs, thinking maybe he could be someone like Jennifer, helping families navigate their darkest moments. When senior year started in September, Tyler felt ready. He was a year behind where he should have been academically, but he was determined to catch up. He took challenging classes. He joined the student council. He started volunteering at a local food bank, the same one that had helped his family. He wanted to give back what had been given to him. The year flew by. Tyler worked harder than he'd ever worked before, but this time it was different. This time he wasn't running on empty. He was sleeping. He was eating properly. He was taking care of himself. And when things got stressful, he asked for help. That was the biggest lesson he'd learned, that asking for help wasn't giving up. It was being smart. His grades improved dramatically. By the end of first semester senior year, he had straight B's. By second semester, he had 2 A's and the rest B's. He wasn't valedictorian material, but he was doing well. More importantly, he felt good. He felt healthy. He felt like himself again. College acceptances started coming in March. Tyler applied to several state schools with good social work programs. He got into 3 of them. Financial aid packages followed, and Tyler realized he'd be able to go to college without drowning his family in debt. Between scholarships, grants, and work-study programs, it was actually possible. As graduation approached in June, Tyler felt emotions he couldn't quite name. Pride, yes. Relief, absolutely. But also gratitude. Deep, overwhelming gratitude for everyone who'd helped him get here. Graduation day was perfect. Sunny and warm with a light breeze. The ceremony was held outside on the football field. Tyler sat with his classmates in alphabetical order, wearing his cap and gown. He'd worried about paying for graduation stuff, but the school had quietly made sure he didn't have to. The cap, the gown, the announcements, everything had been taken care of. His family was in the audience. His dad in his wheelchair, looking healthier than he had in over a year. His mom in a new dress she'd bought special for the occasion. His brother and sister, older now, more mature, understanding how big this moment was. They had signs that said, "Go Tyler," in big letters. The principal gave his usual speech about new beginnings and following dreams. The valedictorian talked about friendship and memories. Then came the moment everyone was waiting for, handing out diplomas. When they called Tyler's name, something unexpected happened. The applause was louder than for other students. Some of the teachers started standing. Then more people stood. Within seconds, most of the audience was on its feet, clapping for him. Tyler walked across the stage in a daze. Principal Harrison shook his hand and handed him his diploma. "You did it," Principal Harrison said quietly. "You made it. We're all so proud of you." Tyler looked out at the crowd. He saw Mr. Chen clapping with tears on his face. He saw Mrs. Rodriguez cheering. He saw Mrs. Palmer with her hand over her heart. He saw his mom crying happy tears. He saw his dad struggling to stand up from his wheelchair, using his good arm to push himself up, refusing to stay seated for his son's big moment. And Tyler felt something break open inside him. All the exhaustion, all the fear, all the nights he'd wanted to give up, all of it had led to this moment. He'd made it. Against impossible odds, he'd actually made it. As he walked off the stage with his diploma, Tyler let himself cry. Not sad tears, but something else. Relief, maybe. Or joy. Or gratitude. Or all of it mixed together. The ceremony ended with the traditional throwing of caps into the air. Tyler threw his as high as he could, watching it spin against the blue sky before falling back down. His classmates rushed together for hugs and photos. Tyler found Carlos and his other friends, and they took a million pictures, all of them laughing and crying at the same time. Then Tyler found his family. His mom hugged him so tight he couldn't breathe. His dad gripped his shoulder with his good hand and said, "You did good, son. Real good." His brother high-fived him. His sister made him pick her up and spin her around. They took family photos in front of the school. Tyler stood between his parents, diploma in hand, cap on his head, smiling so wide his face hurt. The photographer counted down 3, 2, 1 and captured the moment forever.